Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. You are welcome in SNARM education system. We have learnt about voluntary and involuntary actions. Today we will be discussing about reflex action and reflex arc. Reflex or reflex action. An immediate and involuntary response to a stimulus is called reflex or reflex action. Involuntary response, which is performed without involvement of thinking process, is known as involuntary response. For example, blinking of eyes, coughing, sneezing. And we have learnt in previous lecture that stimulus is any change in the environment that can be detected by receptors to initiate a nerve impulse. Reflex or reflex action, it's one of the example is shutting eyes immediately when bright light, that is stimulus, is focused on them. Other examples of reflex or reflex actions are sudden blinking when an insect comes very near to the eyes. Sudden jerky withdrawal of hand or leg when pricked by a pin. Knee-jerk reaction is also an example of reflex or reflex action. Getting burned, that is reaction to painful stimuli, is also example of reflex action. Coughing, sneezing due to irritants in the nasal passage is also good example of reflex. Reflex arc, the pathway of nerve impulses which complete a reflex action, is called reflex arc. Components of reflex arc. Reflex arc are consist of following 5 components: receptors, a sensory neuron, an interneuron, a motor neuron, and effectors. Explanation of reflex action and reflex arc with an example. Quick pulling of hand just after touching the hot object is a common example of reflex action. Steps involved in this process are as under: temperature of hot object, that is stimulus, is received by the cells of the skin, that is receptors. A nerve impulse is created in the sensory neuron present in skin. The nerve impulse is carried by the sensory neuron to the spinal cord. The interneuron of the spinal cord transmits the impulse to the motor neuron. The motor neuron carries the impulse to the arm muscles, that is effectors. The arm muscles contract and hand is pulled back. In the above said steps of reflex action, nerve impulse complete a pathway from receptors to effectors is called reflex arc. Dear students, here question arises: what is difference between reflex actions and involuntary actions? The answer is that all reflex actions are involuntary, but all involuntary actions are not reflex actions. Involuntary actions involve the unconscious part of the brain that carries out those actions, whereas reflex actions pathways directly through the spinal cord and does not involve any part of brain. Reflex actions are in response to sudden situations, whereas involuntary actions are regular as they fulfill critical life processes. For example, we can live by holding a hot cup of tea, but we cannot live if our heart is not beating. Dear students, listen this lecture again and again for best understanding. You may ask any question in comment box relating to the topic. You may get online education through SNUM education system in all subjects relating to science, MBA and law. Dear students, to watch all our latest videos, do subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Please press bell icon and don't forget to comment, like and share our videos on YouTube. We will soon join inshallah for next lecture on human excretory system. Till then, Allah Hafiz.